Well, Ann Coulter, of course, a best-selling author, a great columnist. You should read her latest book, Resistance is Futile. Actually, if you're looking for more to read during all of this, any of her books, if you haven't read them, go get them. Hey, check out her new website. It's fantastic. A lot of stuff up there. AnnCoulter.com. Take a look at that. Follow her on Twitter. Ann Coulter, we're running a little late. Sorry about that. How you doing?
No problem. I get to sleep later.
Oh. And
so are you enjoying the quarantine?
Hey, but a quarantine is supposed to be the sick people are quarantined.
Oh, you've noticed that.
But you're all over the country. What, outside of New York, if you go around the heartland of America, these Cuomo briefings, do they translate to the middle of America?
I don't think so. No. I'm not sure they're really translating all the meatball stuff is really that big a hit, even in New York.
Yeah, and he does have kind of a...
when he's sending the COVID patients directly to the nursing homes. And he, along with many governors, I would say most of them Democrat, keeping people indoors and away from the healthiest, best places they could be, which is outdoors. You don't need, I think we may have talked about this. This is so anti-science, these MSNBC and CNN correspondents standing outside wearing masks. There's much we know about this virus, but one thing we're pretty clear on now is it doesn't transfer outside. I mean, unless you're standing right in the face and having an active COVID patient cough into your face for about 20 seconds. That might be able to do it. But the idea that people are running through Central Park wearing masks is so preposterous. I've noticed just sort of I'm not consuming an enormous amount of COVID news these days because it's getting tedious. And the same thing over and over again, just like Russia and everything else the TV news reports on anyway. But anyone who cites facts, data, and science, the one thing will not involve anything having to do with facts, data, or science.
That's true. Hey, you talked to everybody in Florida. What down there? What is going on? And now they're open as of Monday. People can go out.
I think a lot of places are more open than you'd think. Of course, the hero, the heroic state is Georgia. A lot of my friends from New York have been renting places in Georgia just to be able to go out to an Olive Garden. They just want to go out. I'm getting photos, emails to me of tanning beds and weight machines and people gathering. I mean, as I said before, we don't know much about this virus, like how to vaccinate against it, how to cure it. But the two very important things we know is it gets transferred in close, confined spaces with people singing or projecting loudly. We'll probably cut down on certain sports, professional sports coming back, and also it almost exclusively, as we've known from the beginning, everyone's acting like this is new news. It was in my very first column before the shutdown even started. We knew it from that Princess cruise line. We knew it from Italy. The average age of the dead is those dying from it is 81 years old. And I'm sick of having this twisted into what we're saying is, and who cares? No, we're not saying who cares. We're saying that this is what you might call facts, data, and science that ought to go into how we respond to it. We don't need, for one thing, it's preposterous to be keeping kids out of school. We now know, we knew they couldn't get it at the beginning. Now we know they can't even transfer it.
Yeah, I like the way Rand Paul put it to Dr. Fauci. He goes, the death rate is zero. Not literally zero, but it's approaching zero. It's like 0.3%. He's right. That's pretty much zero for a death rate.
Yes. Yeah. So, no, instead people are dying of other things, poisoning at home. They're stuck at home. They're dying from falls, poisonings, chokings. Get outside, get to the beach. No, none of those kids from spring break. We've had these hysterias from the media about these monsters, the COVIDiots, on the spring break beaches. Drinking and making out on the beach. Did any of them get it? Did any of them die? No. players. Can we get a follow-up on any of these guys? No, people get it and either don't know it or they work through it.
Hey, you know, in 1968, the Hong Kong flu, that pandemic of 1968 pandemic was far worse. 1 million people died worldwide. I think 100,000 died in the U.S. Does anybody even remember that? Whenever they do the history of 1968, it doesn't even get mentioned in there. It was during
a good point.
Yeah.
And curiously, it comes from a region of the world that has wet markets. Wow, what a wacky coincidence.
I love when they say, don't call it the China virus. It's not a China virus. It's not a Wuhan flu. It's you've never heard of a Cleveland flu.
Right, it's a European corona. No, basically every coronavirus comes from China. Why? Because of the wet markets. We've been warned for years and years and years. The next huge viral pandemic will come from the Chinese wet markets. And this one comes from the wet markets, and we're not allowed to mention it.
Yeah. Now, they say it may have come from the lab, but they were doing research on bats. Why were they even doing research? 2 blocks away, there are people eating bats. Test them out.
Yeah, just invite them in. Well, as you may know, my column last week was on that. It's a, I think, kind of crazy conspiracy theory, but particularly, I don't like it. I mean, I give various reasons. 27 of the original 41 coronavirus victims, or people who came down with it, had been precisely to the Wuhan wet market. Western scientists have looked at the virus and said this wasn't created in a lab, this was natural selection. But mostly I don't like it because, well, as I just mentioned, nearly every other coronavirus has come from the wet markets. We've been warned about this for years. Our objective, it's very important that our objective be shutting down the wet markets for good. Something that was done briefly after SARS. Oh, another coronavirus that came from the Chinese wet markets. But, I mean, we ought to be focusing on this the same way we focused on shutting down the Al-Qaeda camps after 9/11. We need to shut down the wet markets, and this distraction of, oh, no, the Chinese, they're just like us. It's just the Communist Party and their sneaky labs. No, they aren't just like that. They eat bats and dogs and rats, and this has got to stop.
No, we have to teach people in China, Publix, Christie's, Trader Joe's. Hey, everybody. Yeah. We're out of time, but everybody check out. You'll love Ann Coulter's new website. It's excellent. It's got video, audio. It's got everything on there. AnnCoulter.com. It's a great site. AnnCoulter.com. Get her books. The new column comes out tonight, right?
Yes, it does. It's a good one. I got bored with COVID. New topic tonight.
And follow her on Twitter, Ann Coulter Twitter. But check out the website, AnnCoulter.com. It's great. Brand new website. Ann Coulter, thanks for being with us.
Good to talk to you, Mark Simone. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care.